Everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Lou. This is the Sketchbook Chronicles, and it's a channel dedicated to art and my art journey. If you're not subscribed, be sure to do so, and if you are subscribed, thanks for the support. For today's video, I thought it'd be fun if I showed you guys some of my most frequently used art supplies, some of my favorite art supplies. But before we start, I do want to preface this by saying this is not in any way, shape, or form a complete list of all the art supplies that I use. This is the Cliff Notes version, if you will. So let's get things started with pens. I've been drawing more and more with pens, mainly because I want to get better at inking and also just get more confidence in my lines. So I typically use either a Lamy Safari or a TWSBI Echo T. Now the Lamy Safari is it's a workhorse. I mean, it's got a solid nib. It's great to use, very comfortable. I can just take this with me anywhere and it'll perform well. The TWSBI Echo T is actually a recent addition. I just got this pen for Christmas, and again, like the Lamy, it also has a fantastic nib, and this is a very, very smooth pen to work with. It's like you're writing with butter. It's pretty nuts. I also like it because it's got a pretty big ink capacity, so I don't have to refill it very often, so that's nice. But yeah, so these are my go-to pens, and like I said, I use them for inking and just drawing with them flat out. Now, in addition to pens, I also use pencils. Now, pencils are probably my most favorite art supply. I love pencils. I have way too many pencils, but my favorite pencil and the one that I always come back to is the Blackwing 602. I just like it because it's smooth. It puts down a dark enough line, but I can also use it relatively lightly for lighter shades and things like that. Besides the Blackwing 602, I also use their other pencils. I use the Pearl, the Natural, and the Matte, but the 602 is the one that I keep going back to. I've also used, like I think a lot of people have, the Prismacolor Color Race pencils for like underdrawings and things like that. But Blackwing recently released their Blackwing Red, which, as the name implies, has red lead. And I've really been enjoying this one because, much like all the other Blackwings, this also writes very smoothly. So this one, as you can see, I haven't used too much. I just got it a few weeks ago, but I've used it enough to know that this will be a pencil that I'm gonna use in the future. Some other pencils I've recently used, I did a short on this a few months ago, but I recently discovered the Musgrave Pencil Company, and this is one of their pencils. It's the 600 News. This has a very soft lead and lays down a lot of graphite in a very, very dark lines. I use this a lot when I just want to get like a quick idea down. This is usually my go-to pencil. I actually got it as part of their variety pack, which they call their Heritage Collection, and it basically just comes with a variety of the different pencils that they produce. The 600 News is just the one that I picked first for no reason, but it's been a pleasure to work with, and I'm looking forward to using the others. I also use these Staedtler lead holders. I like these because they're convenient because you can swap out the lead. So in this one right now, I have a 4H lead. And I also like it because they kind of work like a mechanical pencil where the lead is a little bit finer, so you can use these for like detail work. So these are great if I'm going somewhere and I don't want to take like a bunch of pencils with me. I'll usually just take this, and it does the job. In addition to that, and speaking of detail work, I do use a mechanical pencil. This is a Kuratoga. It's a special Pokemon Pikachu edition. But this one, I don't even know if you'll be able to see. The lead is super fine on that one. So this is great for like if you're drawing a person or something. This is great for like doing the details around the eyes and the eyelashes and things like that. So this is a really great pencil if you're looking for detail work. In terms of erasers, like I said, I've been using ink a lot more. So I'm trying to gravitate away from erasers because I just want to get in the habit of getting more confident with my lines. But when I do use erasers, I use this Tombow Mono eraser. It's really great because I'm able to erase a lot, obviously, because it's a bigger eraser. But when you do erase, it doesn't leave a lot of that residue that most erasers do. It actually clumps up, and you just get like these kind of like big pieces of eraser left behind, which are super easy to clean instead of getting like those tiny little pieces that just get everywhere and are annoying and you can never get them all out of the way. So I use that, and then I'll also use a kneaded eraser. And then if I'm just cleaning up like smaller lines, I use this this Sumo Grip eraser, which I'm not sure, but I don't think they make these anymore because it took me forever to find this one. So I'm not sure if they make this anymore, but this is a good eraser to have just to clean up like any little mistakes that you make. And then I also use this Tombow Mono Zero eraser. I actually use this one for detail work. So I'll usually use this one to like erase in highlights and things like that. So this is a really good eraser to do that with. In addition to the Staedtler lead holder that I mentioned, I also use a bigger one. This is kind of like a clutch pencil. Now it obviously takes the bigger lead, as you can see, and this is great when I just want to get a lot of graphite down, just to get an idea down really quickly before, you know, it flies out of my head. This is great to just get something down really quick and then fine tune it with like either the smaller lead holder or even just like a Blackwing, or just go from that straight to ink. So it's been great for that. Now, in terms of sketchbooks, if you saw my last video where I did the sketchbook tour, I'll link it somewhere up here or down in the description so you can check that out. But if you saw that video, then this should look familiar. It's a Moleskine. Now, this isn't their art specific book. It's just like the regular one that you would use for like notes or something like that. So the paper is relatively thin. But if you're looking for a cheaper Moleskine instead of paying for the art specific one, you can definitely use this one. But again, like I said, because the pages are a little bit thinner, it's not going to do well with watercolor or like heavy markers or heavy ink use or anything like that. But if you're just using it for sketching with pencil and even ink, like from a pen or something like that, it'll do great. But again, just be wary. I would not use this with watercolor because it is not going to do well. Another sketchbook that I'm actually currently working in right now is a Hahnemühle gray book. I really like this sketchbook because the paper is very smooth, and also because the pages are gray, it gives you like this nice mid-tone in your drawings. And again, the paper is relatively thin here, so I don't think it would do well with like watercolor or anything like that. But I have been using it for ink and color pencils, and it does great. So if you're looking for a new sketchbook, I highly recommend the Hahnemühle gray book. I actually also have their watercolor sketchbook, but I haven't opened it yet because I started working in this one first. So I'm anxious to see how that one performs, and I'll actually probably post a video about that, so be sure to subscribe and check that out. In terms of color pencils, I don't really, I guess, use anything particularly special. I just use the Prismacolor Premier pencils. These are great. I mean, I'm sure for those of you watching the channel, you've probably already seen reviews discussing how smooth these pencils are and how great they blend, and I can vouch for that. They do both of those things very well. They are definitely some of the smoothest color pencils I've ever used, and they blend without very much effort. So if you're on the fence about what color pencils to get, I would definitely suggest the Prismacolor Premier pencils. I got the 36 pack, but the only reason I did that was because I think it was on sale when I bought it, so I figured why not. But as you saw, I clearly don't use all of them. I also did just recently buy the Derwent Color Soft Color pencils. I haven't used these yet, but I bought these on an impulse because when I went to the art supply store a few weeks ago, they were having a sale and I decided I might as well get it. I haven't, again, see, it's still wrapped up. I haven't opened it yet, but I'm pretty curious to see how these do, and I'll be making a future video on this too, so be sure to check that out. In terms of painting, I really just work with watercolors. I don't do anything with like acrylic or oil, but for brushes, I use these Princeton Heritage brushes. They're relatively inexpensive, and again, for watercolor, they're great. They hold a lot of color. They maintain their point, which is nice, and they're very good brushes to use. So a few of them, you might notice a few of them are missing because I was actually painting before I did this video. But yeah, these are great brushes if you're looking for paintbrush. And on the topic of painting, in terms of paints that I use, I just use the Cotman watercolors. I guess these are like what are considered like their student grade watercolors. They also have like professional grade. Obviously those are more expensive, which is why I use the Cotman ones. So yeah, that's great. In terms of other pens that I use for inking, I use the Staedtler pigment liners. I have the one in the 0.5 and the 0.3 size. I also use the microns, but I started using these after seeing a few reviews and people raving about them. I figured I'd give them a shot. These are really great. They're super smooth, and in all honesty, I'd put them right up there with the microns. So if you haven't tried these and you're looking for a new, if you're looking for a fine liner, be sure to give them a shot. And then I also use the Pentel Pocket Brush for inking as well. Again, it's got that brush tip, so it's great to get all kinds of different line weights. You can get very thin lines, very thick lines. You can even smudge it a little bit to get like nice little shadow and mid-tone effects. So that's a great pen. And I think that's pretty much it for most of my frequently used art supplies. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you're already subscribed, thank you for your support, and be sure to stick around for the next video, and I will see you then. Thanks. Bye, guys.